What's up, everybody? This is Gina Ifoe, the one and only African superstar. Back at it again, live stream tonight. Um, I want to give a big shout out to the customers of the Afrikansuperstar.com. What's up, guys? Big shout outs also to our members only who are designated by the circle next to their name. Big shout outs also to those of you that have been supporting my latest project, the music project that is I have a GoFundMe campaign. So big shout outs to those of you guys that have been participating in that. I will leave all the details available in the chat for the contact information, okay? And also where you can find my music. I have 2 singles that's currently out, and you can find them on all the large streaming platforms: iTunes, Apple, Amazon, Tidal, so on and so forth. So you can look for me under Ghana Roll Call, where Ghana is good for me. And obviously I am the African Superstar. Tonight I want to do a live stream and talk about who is going to solve these problems. One thing that our people do a lot, okay, one thing they do excessively is talk about the problems, talk about what is wrong, talk about what Black people aren't doing, what Africans aren't doing, what Black Americans aren't doing, our children, blah, 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 blah. Okay. And I just have a question, which is, if we don't solve these problems, if we don't have an interest in these problems, who will? You know, what people should do, in my opinion, is start looking at the problem and trying to find out how they can insert themselves to the problems that they have found. Now, I know when my mom, when I was young, my mom used to say to me that, sometimes when you are the one to identify a problem, for instance, you're the only person maybe that has maybe identified the problem, or you may be the only person with the capacity to deal with that problem. Because, see, we don't all have the same vision and view. There are some people that are going to look at one thing and they wouldn't even see anything, any issues or anything like that. And there's another person that will look at it and say, oh, wow, this needs to be addressed. I tell you guys all the time, for instance, I'm here on social media because I believe in representation. I believe in the representation of the intellectual Black professional, basically. Okay. I also believe in, family-friendly content, content that can be shared with, everybody from our elders in the community to my own peer group to younger children, or teenagers or, things like that. Another segment of my representation has gone into clothing. It's also now into music, because when you learn how to be a good communicator, or a master communicator, you understand that everybody doesn't communicate at your level. Okay? Everybody doesn't communicate the way that you like. It's the same way some of us, they say some people are better hands-on. Okay? Some people like visuals. So if someone's telling a story and they actually give like a parable, or they give a visual, or maybe they put like a graph up on the board or something like that, that helps certain individuals. Other people, for them, it's just the words. It may be the instruction, the book, the materials that help people, okay, and grasp the concept. You see, so when you become a master communicator, you understand that you need many different avenues to be able to communicate effectively with our people, for instance. Okay, what our people should do is begin to look at the problems and see how they can strategically address the problems. Big shout outs to Mind, Body, and Soul TV for my members only. Welcome back, Mind, Body, and Soul TV. She been on a little hiatus trying to get things sorted out in her personal affairs. Big shout outs to you. Big shout outs to the African Superstar family. Guys, if you're here, let me know what's up. Let me see you in the chat room and hear from you. Okay, I'm talking about, if we don't solve our problems, who will? I'm not an extraordinary person. I tell you guys all the time, I am not an extraordinary person. I'm simply a person on a quest to solve my own problems. Okay, I'm not waiting for anybody else to solve my problem. Nobody, from Jesus to Allah to my mom and dad to, you know, my lover to my sisters or friends or even my YouTube community. I'm all about what can Gina do to address this stuff? How can Gina make it happen? Hi, Tiffany. Big shout out to Tiffany. She says, I never get to catch a live. Well, today's your lucky day. So make sure you like the video. Yeah. And, you know, this is a message that I want to really just reiterate. You know, I say the same things over and over and over again. I just want to reiterate this. We're getting ready to go into a new year, guys. We have 2 months left of 2021. That's it. Okay. And then we're going to be into 2022. All right. And, you know, this has got to be your attitude. I mean, the majority of my viewers are over 30 years old. You don't have time to squander. That's just the honest to God truth. You don't have time to squander. You know, the plans that you have made, you need to be executing those plans to the best of your ability right now going forward. You know, I mean, period. You know, because we don't know our lifetime. You know, one thing that we see here in Ghana, one thing that's popular, big shout outs to any of my Ghanaians. If any of my Ghanaians are in the building, make sure you show some love in the chat room. Don't forget you can support the stream. I put all the details at the beginning of the stream of the all the contact details plus the GoFundMe campaign. Some of you guys have already donated for my ongoing music project. Like I posted earlier, my music video is almost done. The finishing touches are being put on it. So I did put a little teaser out earlier today. My first music video is getting ready to world premiere. Members only will see that first before you guys, the rest of the general public. So if you want to join members only, please hit the join next and subscribe. That way you can see the world premieres of my music videos because members only will see them first. And currently we are fundraising for the second video for my second single, which is Ghana is Good for Me. I'm going on the radio circuit. I have a program tomorrow, and I'm also going to the Ghana Broadcasting Company here in Ghana. It is the national Ghana Broadcasting channel. So I'll actually be in the studios at GBC here in Accra, Ghana, and that will be Friday. So I don't know exactly when it will air. I don't know if it's going to be live. But once that flyer comes out, I will let you guys be aware. But yes, anyway, I'm now promoting the music project. Big shout outs to the Afrikansuperstar family. If you're here in the building, please make sure that you leave something in the chat. Tonight, I'm talking to you about the problems that we see. This is a huge crux for our people. This is a huge, even I just posted a video, a response video yesterday, which was the question, are Ghanaians woke? Are Ghanaians woke? And I kind of explained, you know, that culturally, people here on the continent, they're raised differently. Their exposure is different. Therefore, you know, the need to be a strong Pan-African and a strong pro-Black, it is not really been needed from them because they haven't been dealing with the tumultuous history in their homelands the way that we have dealt with it in the West. Okay, the first time you have a racial encounter, let me see. Okay, this one is for all of you guys out there in the West. Okay, first trivia question. What's up, Nana? I see you there. What's up, Mr. Wisdom? Big shout out to the family. Please, if you're in the building, I want to greet you. Okay. For all of those of you that have grown up in the West, all right, what age would you say you had your very first racial encounter, if you can remember? Most of us can remember it. Okay, I remember talking to my homegirl, Lady Visionary, and she was saying that it happened in her teenage years. You know, she got onto a city bus in the UK, and this white guy on the bus told her to get to the back. Okay, and that is a connotation of segregation, you know, from back in the days where, you know, the white people felt that they could be separated from the blacks, felt like they should sit in the front, for instance, of the bus. So that he alluded to her like, hey, get in the back because you're black. And she was just a teenager. Okay. I remember getting it very early, actually. I can't actually give you an age, but I know I was less than 10 years old because I went to predominantly white private school. And I just remember that whenever I would submit projects, you know, people would always try to minimize my academic potential. And whenever I spoke my mind, whenever I said whatever I wanted to say, people would always say to me, oh, Gina, you're crazy. You know, I really, really, really hate that passive, you know, I cannot stand it. You know, people just marginalizing you. And I would say something. And you guys know that I'm an articulate person. I've always been like this. Okay. I didn't do any formal training. I didn't go to Toastmasters or any, you know, speaking academy. I've always been articulate. I've always been a reader. I've always been a writer. And so I would speak my mind at my school and they would say, oh, Gina, you're so silly. Gina, you're so fun. It was never, wow, Gina, you're so smart and I'm so impressed. It was never that. Okay. So I'm giving this example because our peers on the continent have been able to grow up a lot of times without any of those encounters. Just imagine, we would say something is kind of like maintaining your innocence as a child. You know, maybe when you used to believe in Santa Claus or the Tooth Fairy, you know, you used to get really hype and excited, like, oh, wow, I'm going to put this tooth under my pillow and I'm going to get $1. Or at Christmas time, I'm going to get my favorite gift, you know, and your parents just let you believe into that little fantasy, you know, or maybe you went to, I know, you know, in America, a lot of people go to Disneyland or they go to the amusement parks. And I remember when Disney on Ice came to Columbus, Ohio. Okay. And this is a really hilarious, funny story. Big shout outs to the family. I'm coming through. For everybody who grew up in America, do you remember your first racial encounter? Go ahead and put it in the chat. Do you remember how old you were when it happened to you? Because I'm making a point with this. Now, Wisdom says he is a Ghanaphobe. He's a Ghanaian man. He says, as a born in Ghana but reside in Amsterdam, wokeness is never any factor on the continent because globally as a race, we don't operate as wokeness and it's not a factor. So he's saying, you know, it's not even really a concept here. You know, we say in slang terms, being woke, it's being conscious, you know, knowing what's happening, knowing the big plan, knowing all these things. People are not experiencing that here on the continent. They're growing up in their bubble a lot of times, you know, and they're not going through a lot of the difficult, perverted, violent, dangerous, racist things that those of us in the West have been exposed from. We've been exposed to that in our childhood. You know, in the 90s, when I was a little girl, going to school, I remember Rodney King. And even before Rodney King, I had learned about Emmett Till. You know, a little teenage boy that was accused of looking at a woman, so they murdered him in revenge. And there's these graphic photos online of how his mom made his coffin be open so that they could see what these racist white people had done to Emmett Till. These are things I saw in my life before I was even 10 years old. So I grew up understanding racism very well. My counterpart here on the continent at the same time, because I met a lot of them. I've met people that are my age mates abroad. And a lot of them are just very aloof when it comes to these kind of like racial things. They have no idea. They didn't get exposed to that maybe until they migrate. So you're talking about people in their 20s and 30s, you know, having their very first instance of racism or learning about things that have happened historically. Come on. No, they're not going to be woke because their environment doesn't, it doesn't promote it. It's not needed here. They have other issues on the continent. But you know, a movement, Pan-Africanism, liberation and all that, It's not a modern day thing. Big shout outs to the family. All right. Mind, Body, and Soul TV answered the trivia question. Her first encounter of racism was in 5th grade. After the Root series. The Root series was this long series about slavery, basically. And when people, you know, it's kind of started with the beginning of the slave trade and, you know, people being transported to America, and then the journey, you know, them living on these plantations and the brutality, and then them eventually getting free and what happened after that and all of that. So after that came out, now people were probably calling her names or being insulting and things like that at school. Tiffany said age 5, and she still remembers this. Okay? This stuff is traumatic for our people. This stuff is the stuff you never forget. She was just a little girl when this happened. Being licked. Let me see here. Let me get back to this. Hold on. Wow. Oh my goodness. Being licked in kindergarten by a classmate whose mother told him black people were made of chocolate. Oh my goodness. Wow. That is like unbelievable. And you know what? This is kind of like a fetish thing. We know that people sexually fetish our people a lot. You know, for women, they're always talking about your physique. You know, if you've ever been hit on by like a non-black person, they're always like being very, very forward, very, very sexual with you, talking about your breasts, talking about your bump. You know, this is why personally, I mean, I can never swear because I know that they objectify. I know they do. Yes, they do. You guys saw a video with my elder sister not too long ago. We went to the beach 2 weeks ago. And as light skinned as she is, because she's lighter than me, people will be calling her chocolate at her job. So we all just go into the same pot. And this little boy wanted to eat Tiffany because he thought she was chocolate. Big shout outs. Erica says she was about 12 or 13. Mr. Pirate Brain says he was 12. Big shout outs to family. Tiffany, this is something that a lot of black people can relate. They absolutely fixate on our hair. And sometimes they ask if they can touch. Sometimes they just touch you like you're an animal. So Tiffany, at a young age, she got touched and petted. So just imagine, these are just some examples of things that our people are going through at very young ages in the West. Because why? Because we're living in environments where we are around them. You know, our peers on the continent is not going through that. What's the probability of you being here in Africa, here in Ghana, and going to school and getting licked by one of your classmates because the stereotype is that you taste like chocolate? You went and got your hair braided. Who's going to pet your hair here in Ghana? Who's going to pet your hair in Kenya? You see what I'm saying? The same instances that we've experienced in the West that have led us to our Pan-Africanism and led us to our pro-blackness and led us to, you know, assert ourselves. Our peers are not going through that here. Now, I do see a lot of times when they do start experiencing it, when they come to the West, then they catch on. They want to speak out. They want to, you know, they then become passionate about their homeland or things like that. But I mean, we got to be real about that. Anyway, back to the original topic. Okay. Back to the original topic, which is who is going to solve your problems. I really want you guys to start looking at the problems that are facing you and finding out how you can be a resolution to that problem. You know, because a lot of our people just simply pass the buck. Oh, well, they need to do this. And, you know, I mean, we have literally, okay, I've seen clips. You guys have probably seen clips, okay, about Malcolm X talking about we should never let our enemies educate our children, right? If you've seen any kind of clip like that, let me see a number one, guys. Okay, now, as you guys know, Malcolm X was assassinated in the 1960s, okay? Decades ago. He was a very big proponent of we need to educate our youth. And ever since then, we've sat down and talked about how this needs to happen. And very few people have put their foot forward and said, okay, let's make it happen. I'll create a curriculum. A lot of our people have started schools, but they're circulating the status curriculums there. Okay, so a state-of-the-art building where we're still allowing our children to be indoctrinated with certain ideologies is not going to solve the problem. It's one of the reasons that I recently went to speak to students in Columbus, Ohio, when I was there on a visit. Hello. Because for us, by us, the same things I preach to you guys, I enact in my own life. I posted a video this afternoon about, were you surprised to learn that I was going to music? My communication is now segueing to the youth. Okay, it's very important for me that young people are getting more of a balance of what it really is like living in the West, you know, and things like that. And also for those children that are living in the West, knowing that they have international options. One of the biggest vehicles to communicate with young people is what? Music. Hello. Hello. So why not do educational music? I mean, if anybody can do it, why not me? You see, find it, looking at your problem. Okay, my problem has always been media related. I've always felt some type of way about the mainstream media and how our people are depicted. My solutions that I'm devising have to do with that problem. That problem. And it's not an elaborate process, guys. Really, honestly, to be honest with you, solving your problems is not an elaborate process. It's not. It's really, really not. You know, and the problem, the probability of those things being solved is significantly reduced if you're waiting on someone or something else to deal with it. You know, that is why really our people are still in the status that they're in, because instead of putting our energy at the problem and the root of the problem, okay, and also inserting ourselves to solve those problems, we are waiting. We're waiting for someone else to do something. Well, this needs to happen, and you know, the comment from the person that initially asked the question about Ghanaians being woke, she says, well, yeah, you know, they should be Pan-African and they should do this and they should. Who's going? Listen, let me give you a secret to communication. Okay, let me give you a secret to communication. When you are trying to communicate to someone an idea or any kind of information, assume that they know nothing. Assume that they know nothing. And also realizing the fact that we are now in a day and age where critical thinking is not widespread. Common sense is not widespread. So what does that mean? That means you need to simplify the idea to be able to get your message across. It needs to be very, very simplified. Okay, anything redundant, anything too verbose, anything that's like not concise, you're going to miss it. You got to be simplified in the way that you communicate. You got to assume that people don't understand you. Don't think that people are at your level of communication, because they may very well not be. Also, for instance, like people like me, I have an international viewers. Okay, so when I'm communicating, I need to be what? Simplify. Some people are not English speakers that watch our channel. Hello. Some of them are from France or Germany, or maybe even in Asia. So you need to be able to communicate in a way that's going to reach. All right. And assuming that people don't know, which is the ideology that I have taken when I try to communicate with people. When I come to the continent and I start encountering people and they're like, I mean, it's a dead giveaway. Okay, this is the first trivia question. I'm actually going to open up the call lines for this. And if you guys have anything to contribute, please do call in. Okay, don't forget, you guys can also support the stream. I'm trying to get my music project on the road, so please do support. Okay. So, assuming that people don't know, okay, and this is a dead giveaway. All right. When they say, why did you leave America for Africa? Which is usually the first, I mean, it's going to be a top 5 question for any diasporan that's here living on the continent. That lets you know that they don't know. That lets you know they have no idea. Because if we're having a conversation with someone that lives in the UK or someone that lives in America, and we say, hey, I need to get out of this environment, that person's way more likely to understand. There's police brutality, there's racism, there's systematic racism, there's stereotypes, there's violence, you know? And so that person can understand a lot more. You know, even some people living in the West don't understand, but they can understand a lot more why potentially you might want to get out of that environment than someone on the continent, because they don't know. So when they don't know, what does that mean? You got to teach them. You got to make it simplified. Okay. When we identify the fact that our counterparts here on the continent don't know about the West or reasons why we've left the West, then it's time to educate. It's a very simple thing, guys. You know, solving your problems is not a complex thing. I just got to tell you, it's not. Some of you guys have had problems for years because you refuse to take the initiative to deal with your problems. Real talk. Some of you guys have health problems. You refuse to solve it. You refuse to exercise. You refuse to do your diet. You refuse to become versed on, you know, your conditions or whatever. So you have a sob story about your health. I mean, nobody's going to solve your health for you. I'm sorry to tell you, you know, and it's not always like a malicious thing. People can't deal with your problems sometimes because they are also dealing with their own problems. You know, people are trying to sort out their own problems. You should be the first advocate with your own problems. Whenever we talk about things related to our people, we should be the first point of contact of those problems. We should be the ones. Any person that's looking at the continent and complaining about the continent should insert themselves as a potential solution to those problems, some kind of way. I can't, for instance, do a lot of things here in Ghana. I can't. I don't have the finances, and I don't have, you know, the social relevance in terms of knowing an extensive amount of people. But I am here doing what I can do. Me now being here and living here for over a year has now qualified me to talk about a lot of things. Like I said, I recently went to the school. Okay, I don't have a PhD in migration, and I didn't write a Nobel Peace book winning book and all that. But because of my example, I can now talk. It's only a matter of time before I can do lectures, and I'm invited to speak at universities and go to conferences and be at the AU. And you should be the first point of contact. My problem was representation in the media of our people, and I inserted myself as a potential solution to that. And what am I doing? Every day. So look at yourself and look at your problems. What are your problems? Are you working towards those problems? Are you doing anything to solve those problems? Or what? Because the truth is, if you're not, don't even do no New Year's resolutions and stuff like that. Don't even bother. Because the problem that you had 2021, I'm telling you right now, if you don't make initiative to change it, it will remain through 2022. Lord willing, you survive 2022, it will go right on to 2023. You know, until you decide to solve your problems. Maybe some of you guys, y'all have problems. You've had the problems 5 years, 10 years, 20 years. And you've been just hoping for the miracle solution or whatever. Listen, until you take the initiative Okay, I had, for instance, been dealing with racism until my 30s. That's when I moved away. Okay, I have been dealing with American racism for 3 whole decades. Well, we'll exclude the first decade. Okay, so at least 2 decades I have been dealing with it. Big shout out to the African Superstar family. Thank you, Ingrid, for that super chat. Thank you so much for that support. All super chats right now, they're going aside for that music video. I'm trying to get my second music video. I need 400 pounds. So I've already accumulated about 2 from the GoFundMe and some super chats. So we're trying to raise the remainder so I can go ahead and book for that next video. So thank you so much, Ingrid. So dealing with the racism, I had already dealt with it for like 2 decades. And now, you know, I'm almost going to be 40 here soon, a couple years. Now I'm in a peaceful path. I've solved my own problem. Some people might say it's drastic, but hey, living peacefully on the continent is where it's at for me. I solved my own problem. And you know, another thing is some people have low self-esteem. Okay? Accomplishment helps you with low self-esteem because it builds confidence. Hello? Okay, when you're not achieving anything in life, you feel like a loser. You feel like you're wasting your time. You feel like there's nothing in it. When you win, you feel good. Winning makes you feel good. Overcoming makes you feel good. You know, when things align and they work out the way you wanted them to, or you had a plan and it makes you feel good. So actually, attempting to solve your own problems is going to be multifaceted. Not only is it going to start addressing some of the issues in our community, hello, but it will also build your own confidence. Hello. And can't nobody tell you nothing. You know, I talk about this music project. I'm so excited. I just have a lot to say about it. The music project is so like invigorating. It's so exciting for me. It's so creative. But when I actually share it with the world, and the world's like, oh my God, I love this. This is hot. You know, I've had several of my friends, big shout outs to Something for the Holidays, big shout outs to Lady Visionary. You know, I've had so many people text me and be like, oh my God, I downloaded the track. It's hot. It's amazing. I can't wait. You know, big shout outs to my homegirl, Tawo. You know, like, so I'm thinking to myself, I'm like, okay, I thought it was hot, but I wasn't alone. Like, this is really hot. It gives you confidence. Okay? It gives you confidence. I have a lot of a lot of confidence because I've mastered a lot of accomplishments. I'm just being real with you. I mean, nearly, I want to say a high, like 85 to 90% of the things that I put my hand to, I accomplish it. And that gives me confidence because I know that in the future, what I set out to do, there's a high probability. Okay. Anything I set out to do at this point, because I just said 80 to 90%, guys. That's a very high probability. Definitely over half. So that means when I sit down and I map out a game plan, I already have at least a 50-50 shot to accomplish that thing because I have a long track record of accomplishing things and I have the same methodology. Okay. Make the blueprint. Sometimes you got to make a blueprint that is specific. I tell you guys that when I was getting ready to move from America to the UK, for instance, I made a blueprint so specific, it went down to what I needed to do for every single day for the next year to make it happen. I made a blueprint that started with the year. Okay. So when I looked at the year, I said, okay, I need to raise this much amount of money. Okay. So then I broke that down into months. And then I broke that down into days because I was driving Uber at the time and I could control my income daily. I'm talking about this blueprint was, you know, it probably went on one piece of paper, but it was the blueprint of migration. I put the date that I need to buy my plane ticket. I put my immigration stuff in there that I needed to take care of. I even made a list, all the toiletries I need to buy. You know, all the type of clothes I need to buy. Recently, I traveled to, let me see. I'm going to see if I can find the list. I'll even show you guys my list if I can find it. Hold on. Here's my list. I think I could find the list. I made a list when I was traveling to the UK from Ghana. Let me see. I don't think it maybe it might be down there. But basically, here we go. So you guys will see this real time. It says Ghana list. Ghana list. Huh? These are the things that I needed to get when I traveled to Ghana. Okay? Make a list. It's not rocket science. Look at that. Small list. I got everything on this list when I travel. So I just make the example, guys. I've gone on a few tangents here. Please forgive me. But I hope this message was valuable to you, because solving your own problems is a lot easier than you think. You know, and matter of fact, if you also watch me, you know that I'm an SMP fanatic. Okay, strategy, maturity, and patience, our mission statement on this platform. I'm an SMP addict, which means that I strategize, I have maturity during the process, and I have patience to see it through. And that also aids in my ability to accomplish my goals. Because what happens is, when I put all my energy and resources onto the game plan that I have, like for instance, if you're traveling or you need to, you know, you have a certain amount of time you need to do something, or in my case, I went abroad to work. So when I travel, I give it myself, I already knew this is the amount of time that I can spend out here. Okay, before I need to get back and do the things I need to do. Okay, I put all my energy into that plan. I put all my resources into that plan, and it gave me the highest probability of achieving that plan. Some of you guys are segmenting yourself and doing all kind of crazy stuff. You got 20 different projects going on, and basically, you know, you're extending yourself and not giving yourself a high probability to achieve these things, because you are distributing yourself too thin. I'm a firm believer, sometimes you need to buckle all the way down to get stuff accomplished. And I know, for instance, our people could solve so many of our problems if we inserted ourselves as the potential solutions to these problems. You know, and big ups to those of us that have taken the initial steps of visiting the continent, moving to the continent, starting businesses here, starting building projects and all that stuff. Big ups to us, because we have the mentality of, you know what? I'm not just going to talk about this stuff anymore. Big shout outs, Hazel. Thank you so much, sweetheart. Big shout outs to you in Houston, Texas. I see you with that super chat. Big shout outs to the family showing love. I highly respect those kind of people, because they have taken the initiative. I'm not, you know, in my attitude, I'm not going to just talk about racism no more. I tell you guys all the time, I'm not a peon. I'm nobody's bitch. I'm serious. I'm a leader. I deserve to be respected. And I'm not going to talk about how they're not treating me right. I'm not going to spend my whole life talking about how they are not treating me right. I will not. I'm also not going to give them the advantage to eliminate my life prematurely by fooling around with them. Big shout outs to the family. Does anybody know the Bible story of Samson and Delilah? If you know the Bible story of Samson and Delilah, go ahead and let me see a number 2. I'm about to talk about this. Big shout outs to our super chat donors. I just wanted to talk to y'all today. I just wanted to have this real conversation because we need to start being, you know, instrumental in solving our own problems and stop waiting. Some of you guys are like, oh my God, they're not Pan-African on the continent. Well, what are you going to do? What are you going to do? What is your proposed solution to that problem? What are you about to do about it? Huh? Are you going to sit, you're going to sit there and just keep on, you just want to throw judgment. Huh? People just want to blame. Well, those Black Americans, they do this and they do that. Well, those Africans, they do this and that. They're some of the biggest coons, and you know, look at how they kick it with white people, and look at the black on black crime. And okay, what are you about to do about this stuff, guys? What are you about to do? You really should absolve yourself from discussing the problems if you're not about to do anything about it. I mean, real talk. Real talk. You know, and I suggested in a previous video, you can, at minimum, you can support those of us that are ready to do something, at minimum. But if you are like a keyboard cowboy and you're doing zero, you're not making your efforts in your community, abroad, you're not supporting the people that are stepping forward to make it. I mean, honestly, you are not a part of the solution. You are not a part of, you're not even relevant in this movement. I just got to be honest, seriously, you're not. Because talk is cheap. I'm going to talk about this parable. I just asked a lot of you guys if you know the story of Samson and Delilah. For those of you that don't, I'm just going to run it back. Okay, this goes along with my comments of I'm not about to let somebody take me out. I'm not about to let somebody eliminate my life and ruin all my potential and stuff like that. There's a story of Samson and Delilah. Okay? Samson was this very powerful guy. You know, he had this long hair and, you know, he was like invincible. Okay? So everywhere he went, he was winning the battles. He was killing people. You know, nobody could defeat him. Okay? So he had this boo named Delilah. And Delilah used to always want to know what was the source of his strength. And so Samson, playing around, will be teasing Delilah. He'll be like, oh, if you do this, that's the actual source of my strength. And then Delilah would actually, you know, forgive me, I got to paraphrase because it's been a minute since I actually read the story. But I mean, you know, you get the gist of it. What's up, Nikki? I see you there, sweetheart. Big shout out Superstar Bella in the building. So basically, he would just be teasing Delilah. He would just say anything. So he would say, okay, for instance, y'all know, maybe you don't know, but I take these calcium pills for my teeth, right? Some of you guys like, oh my gosh, Gina, your teeth are white. Well, I look after my teeth. I do maintenance. Okay, I take these calcium pills. So say that Samson will say, oh, Delilah, the source of my strength is the fact I take a multivitamin. And then Delilah would take the multivitamin and get rid of them, pour them in the toilet, throw them out the window, and then wait for Samson to break down. This went on a couple times. Now, this is what, in my opinion, what our people do, okay? Because we live among our enemies and they have made it so blatant, like how they feel about us, you know what I'm saying? And we sit there and we yo-yo with them. Well, Gina, it's not everybody. And, you know, me, I just go to school. I just go to work. It's not going to happen to me. And, you know, we see our peers getting involved in nonsense. We see them getting involved in, you know, discrimination. We see them being affected by police brutality and other systematic racism. And we play the Samson role. We even see what happens to leaders. You know, there was a bunch of Black Lives Matter leaders that have had suspicious deaths in the US. Some of them committed suicide. Some of them were shot. Some of them were lynched. But We do this Samson Delilah thing. Okay? And at the end of the road, what happened is after Delilah attempted to take the source of Samson's strength, okay? According to the Bible, I think it was like only 2 times. Okay? On the 3rd time, he kept it real. He said, you know what? It's my hair. My hair is the source of my strength, which was true, which is crazy to me. Because he saw Delilah with the information that he had provided her. She attempted to take his life a few times. And he went on to give her the actual, truth. And guess what? She cut his hair. And then what? He was weak. He couldn't, he lost all his powers. I say all this to say that big shout outs to the people that are like, I'm not going to be a casualty of this stuff anymore. I have watched enough of my people become a victim, both directly, indirectly. We see the mental illness situation with our people has greatly exacerbated, and I think that has to do with the hopelessness that our people are feeling in those environments. Okay, so that would be like an indirect effect of the tumultuous environment that we're living in. Okay, don't be like Samson. Okay, learn from the fact that Delilah's made so many attempts. When I look back at prolific Black people that have lived in the West, they have all met tragic ends somehow. Okay, they didn't live happily ever after and do the American dream. No. Some of them got killed. Some of them went to prison. Some of them got their good name completely destroyed. Some of them lost all their money, lost their families, ended up having psychotic breaks and everything. I don't want to be a casualty. And all that means is I decided I'm going to solve my problem. I'm going to solve my problem in the most dramatic way possible. Yeah, whatever. But I'm going to solve it. And I'm here to tell you, 2021, I love the decisions I made. I love the decisions I made. I feel very good about the direction of my life path. Real talk. And I honestly know that nobody else was about to solve these problems for me. If you guys are waiting for these folks in the West to come to the realization and of the error of their ways, you're really crazy. Because that is something that's not even remotely on their agenda at all. They don't care about your cries. They don't care about how it's affecting you. They don't care. That's just the reality. They do not care. Anything that they're offering you as atonement, like to act like they care, it's just completely bogus. Because we see when it's other communities, the mode of action is completely different. They didn't mind passing a hate bill for the Asian community because the Asian community felt like they were being targeted and stuff. That was like lightning speed. That bill passed like lightning speed. Less than a year, they were able to get that legislation across. Now, meanwhile, the abuse and racism that Black people have been experiencing, for instance, in America, in the UK and stuff, that's been indefinite, and there's not any movement. You need to start working to solve your own problems. Big shout outs to brothers from Ghana, some other content creators here. Big shout outs to you guys. Thank you so much for stopping by. Also, big shout outs to our super chat donors. Thank you so much for supporting the stream. So basically, guys, I'm going to wrap up. I just wanted to come and, have a thought-provoking conversation with the African Superstar family about, our role in changing things. We can't expect anyone else to care. And even our leaders, because a lot of people, that's their first rebuttal. Okay, so when we're talking about a problem, They say, yeah, but our leaders and our leaders. Okay, listen, like I said earlier in this live stream, pretend that whatever problem you found, nobody can solve it. Pretend. Pretend. And that means not your leaders. That means nobody except you. And I guarantee if you take that mentality, if you start looking at problems, you know, I have every reason in the book to say I'm not going to be relevant. I'm not relevant. You know, CNN and NBC and Al Jazeera and the BBC, these are billion-dollar media companies. What can I do? You know, because like I said, I was frustrated with the way that we're being depicted. But I didn't take that attitude. I took the attitude of I'm going to do what I can do with what I have. If all I have is a cell phone and YouTube or Facebook, because you know, I actually started my videos on Facebook. Okay? I started putting the message out there, not worrying about money. It was simply like, I just want to communicate with my people. A lot of other things have come out of that love. You see what I'm saying? But I'm telling you, if we adopt that approach, we'll be so much more successful. We start looking at issues here on the continent instead of criticizing them and criticizing the people, and start saying, okay, you know what? How can I be effective? What can I come up with? What can I use my brain to do? Or sometimes you can even see what some of your other peers are doing on the continent or in other countries and just duplicate that. I mean, it's solving our problems is not complex. Big shout outs. Nana is here with us. Go ahead, Nana. What you got for this topic, boo-boo?
Hello.
Hi. Good evening.
Good evening.
Anything?
Oh my God.
Oh, look at the face.
No. She's making up, so I have to here I am. She's really making up.
She was having fun jumping on the bed. She was having so much fun.
Yeah, I hope everybody is fine.
You had to go hide.
Yeah. I hope everybody is doing well. So, as you all know, I have been missing in action. I have been missing in action because I went back to work and my work was very demanding. If you look at my WhatsApp I just sent you, I just want to show you evidence. You know, sometimes a lot of things comes our way to take out our dream and energy.
Yes,
but
it's true.
It's up to us. The moment you realize your dream or your purpose in life is when life begins. You know, the very moment you take control of your possessions, your environment. Trust me, there are people who will talk against you. But don't stop. Don't stop, because then they know you know yourself. I have to, 31st October, I have to tell myself, I'm done with this work.
Yes.
Because I cannot tell myself, Ghanaian will say, I cannot tell myself for the job.
Exactly.
The pay is not good.
I can't kill myself. I can't kill myself.
But I'm using my energy to make somebody more richer.
Exactly.
And so I have to tell myself, when I close the train, I have to ask myself 3 questions. So, of all my 11 years of being in America, I'm using my energy to make people who will not value me more rich.
Yes. There you go.
I ask myself, why did I go to school and at the end of the day, a young man like me, I'm suffering like that? When I die, won't I be replaceable?
There you go.
I thought there are two things. It's either I stop because I'm almost done to my graduation. That's why I sent you that.
Yes, I saw it.
I want to be done with school. I don't care about what they say.
There you go.
So whenever you realize you're doing, there are a lot of factors that will come and fight against you, limitation and barriers. Anything you do in life, put it in line with your path, your inner peace. And there are things that comes against it. It means you are doing the right thing. Don't talk. You can be confused. There's a lot of things that you think about. Will I be okay? Will I do this? Everything in life has its own issues that come alongside. Every step there must be boldness or changes, you know. So anytime you are talking, I want to come on because it looks like you are speaking to me.
Oh, medo why menda fopa.
You see, because you took the step and you are not going to regret in future. Sometimes you talk to me and I was in the shower, I told myself, nah, she is talking to me.
Nana, I'm so happy that you like our channel. I really, really am. Because it's the truth, you know, it's the truth. And you are right. Sometimes you have to make those decisions and people around you think that you're crazy. They think that you're crazy, like, oh, you're gonna quit your job because you need to finish school. But for you, you're like, look, I just need to get this thing done. And the truth is you can't always get jobs. That's the thing. We act like we can, you know, like it's the one thing we have to hold with our life. But no, you can get a new one. Even in the US, when I was recently there, every place was looking for workers. You can go and get job tomorrow. It's not an issue.
Sometimes I will be at work 9 to 5 and see you at night and I said, oh my God, I made this. I can't even call my family. I can't live my life. Immigration people are traveling. They work on me. I said, oh my God. I don't think I'm going to do for this strength.
I'm so happy that you called in today. Thank you, sweetie.
So I would like to encourage everybody that whenever you get confused, listen to yourself. It's not everybody who knows their mission in life. That is why we have leaders, we have followers. The leaders will always lead. Your motivation is leadership.
Big shout outs to you.
That's
Thank you.
You need to be in social service, advocacy, because the word always rises people to action. It is not everybody who can be a leader. And
thank you, Nana.
Are being taken, you know, leaders like you are being taken. So keep going. I have one thing I want to do with you. Like, I want to help those who are coming to Ghana, who are looking for the right and for you to work with. Because I live here, I went to school with them, and they are in Ghana. There are many people who are looking for them.
Yes. Okay, that's fine. When are you coming? Are you coming soon? When are you coming, Nana?
I'm planning. Once I'm done, I'll be there. I'll let you know.
Okay. Okay, good.
Thank you.
Okay. Bye, sweetie. Okay. Big shout outs to Nana. Nana was talking about, you know, she's looking at her situation because she's working. Obviously, as you could see, her beautiful children playing in the background, you know, jumping on the bed. And she's got a lot going on. Doing school, doing work, being a mother, trying to balance, you know. And the work is just so demanding that is taking all her energy. And she's also trying to finish school. So she had to decide that I need to stop something, you know. And this does relate to our topic, because our topic is, if we're not going to solve the problems, you know, she said a popular thing that we Africans, we say, I can't kill myself. You know, if it's too stressful, I gotta just, that's the attitude here in Ghana. That's probably all around the continent. People are very laid back here. I can't kill myself. It is what it is, you know, basically. I'm not gonna stress up. So she made the decision, you know what, I need to just focus on my school. She sent me that she's getting close to graduation and she needs to put her energy in that. You know, when you devise a solution for your problems, and I'm so happy that she, you know, shared that message, because this is another reason I do media. Because you need to see yourself reflected sometimes as an intellectual person, as a proactive person. We don't see our people out here solving their own problems. Huh? They don't want us to solve our own problems. Okay? They always want to be the middleman in our complete operation. Okay? But when you see your peers solving their own problems, you then become empowered. Hey, I can solve my own problem. You know, when I recently traveled and I was running into a couple of people that I knew in the UK, you know, and they said to me, well, you know, are you here? Are you staying? And I said, no, I'm here for a limited time. You know, I came to do blah, 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 blah. And they thought that I wasn't serious, which I don't know why anybody at this point, 2021, wouldn't think that I'm serious. Because when I say something, I mean something. But anyway. And so after the time, and I returned back to Ghana, they said, oh, hey, are you still here in the UK? Are you still here in Ohio? I'm pretty sure I told you. Limited time. You see, when you make your plan, other people can't always understand, but it's not for them to understand. It's for you to understand. You know? So family, be encouraged. You know, be encouraged by, you know, Nana, be encouraged by me, be encouraged by all the other YouTubers that you see here on the continent doing various things. I mean, it's amazing. This is one of the reasons I love social media. I mean, social media definitely has a lot of cons, a lot of drawbacks, but I just love seeing our people solving their own problems and know that you can solve your own too. Literally. You know, put your hand to the plow, as the Bible would say. You know, start devising your plan and start working towards that. You will eventually get to the end of it. You will eventually get to the point where you are achieving that goal. Let's say your goal is, for instance, to come here to the continent. A lot of you guys have now already made your first visits. You know, when you first came to my platform, you were just talking about it or thinking about it. But now a lot of you guys have made your first trip, second trips. Some of you guys are now living here. Some of you guys have made arrangements to be living here. Okay, bet. Let's say your first goal is, I want to go visit the continent. And you buy a plane ticket for 6 months out. Okay? The day will eventually come. All right? When you're about to board your plane and go. But if you have the concept, I want to go to Africa, and you take that one day approach, one day is not a day on anybody's calendar. So a year goes by, or 2 years goes by, 3 years goes by, and it's still, I'm going to go to Africa one day. No. I'm going to start the business one day. I'm going to develop the fitness plan one day. Huh? I'm going to do that project one day. Some people, for instance, are trained musicians. Okay? They can play instruments, they can sing. I actually, the friend of mine who introduced me to the producer, he said to me, Gina, you motivated me. The guy can sing, he's made so much music, but he hasn't really put the energy behind it. He said, here you are, wrote a song and then recorded it, did a music video all within a few months, and you're a new artist. But it's because when you actually start laying down the blueprint and walking in alignment with your blueprint and investing in your blueprint, the day will come when you achieve it. And that's why our people are in the situation they're in, because our aspirations are on a one day type of sense. Okay. One day we're going to overcome. Ain't that what Sam Cooke said? One day. Sam could have said, hey, this time next year, we're going to make some changes. You feel me? Blacks in America said, hey, you know what? Look, we've been doing this You know, they, after civil rights, okay? After civil rights, and a lot of things didn't change for the Black people out there. All right. They could have said, you know what? We did the civil rights thing. It's not working. Let's head to the continent. Holla. They could have did it right then and there. Or their kids could have did it. Or anybody could have did it. After seeing, because that's the realization I came to. The realization I came to is, hey, this racism, this is synonymous with living in the West, period. As long as I live here, no amount of picket signs, no amount of legislation, no amount of diversity commercials or whatever they try to fool you guys with, it's not going to change. Racism is as American as their Constitution and their flag. So I said, you know what? I got to leave this place because I don't want to live with racism every day. And where's the place I can go and live without racism every day? It's a place where I'm in the majority, and that's on the continent. Hello. So I need to figure out how to get there. And in my case, it's been a long journey, but I'll tell y'all what, I saw my own problem. Yeah. I will give you guys a little clip of my new music video, just in case you haven't seen it.
And only, with the one and only. Chillin' at East Lake on weekends, it's Osu at Bloom Bar. Crocobitty beaches, past Casawado. Port is at Tama.
Oh, it just goes so hard. It just goes so hard. Sorry. Yes, African Superstar family. So big shout out to everybody who came by. Big shout outs to our brothers from Ghana. Please make sure you go over and support their platform. They are, they're always bringing amazing content. We have made arrangements to meet up here in Ghana as well. So I will appear on their channel and things like that. So please go over and support them. You know, we gotta solve these problems ourselves. You know, one of the big problems that we find is that we need to create the bridge. We need to kind of create some kind of communication between those in the diaspora and those here on the continent. Who exactly is going to do that? Huh? Who? If not us. So that requires people from the diaspora teaming up with those continental Africans and vice versa. It starts with us, okay? Start working on solving your own problems, guys. That is my charge to you tonight. Big shout outs to the family. Thank you guys so much for the compliments. Yes, the song goes it really does. I can't wait. World premiere of the music video coming soon. A lot of my YouTube family, they will be sharing it on the platforms. We're gonna just try to get the track out there. I'm going on the radio circuit to start promoting it. So that's what it is, guys. Okay. So until we meet again, stay Black and true. If you ain't Black, just stay true.